Okay, welcome to this fourth tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to do if statements in your program. So let's open up Notepad. Okay, we'll just create a new class. Is that on the screen? Yeah, class. We'll call it program flow, and everything's going to occur inside the main method. So we'll just set this up. And we'll just put the ending curly braces so you can see what's going on. Okay, so if statements, they are basically a conditional statement that will either run a command if a statement is true, run another command if it's false, or skip something out entirely. So I think the best way of learning if statements is to see an example. So I'm going to do just that. Let's create a variable called lives, and that's going to be an integer, so int lives equals 0. That's just assigned the value 0 to the variable lives. Now the if statement starts with the keyword if, and then you've got the open brackets. Okay, so inside these brackets there's going to be a conditional statement. That's going to be lives equals 0. And then open curly brace, end curly brace, and inside these curly braces that is the code that is going to execute if the statement is true. So that will be game over. We'll print to the screen if that code is true. So let's discuss this conditional statement in more detail. Basically, this double equals is effectively comparing lives and 0. If lives is equal to 0, then it will print game over to the screen. If it's not equal to 0, it will just skip this out entirely and move on. So let's just say system.out.println after the if statement, and we'll go after the if. Okay, so now we can see what's going to happen. If lives is equal to 0, it will say game over, then it will say after the if, no matter what. If lives does not equal 0, it'll just skip this out and say after the if. Okay, so this conditional statement, that is just a statement that's going to be true or false. So this, the operators, conditional operators, they can be many things. Double equals is one of them, that just means equals to. It can be greater than, the greater than symbol, so lives is greater than 0, if that's true. Less than, less than, there we go. Less than or equal to, you just put a little less than, an equal sign. Greater than or equal to, and then finally not equal to. That's just an exclamation mark and an equal sign. Now you can also have, don't know what happened then. You can also have an else, an if-else statement. Now all that is you add else here, and then more curly braces. Now what that means is that if lives equals 0, then it prints out game over. If it's not equal to 0, it will print out whatever's in this else. So system.out.println, you have lives. Okay, so if lives was equal to 1, say, it would print out you have lives, because this statement is false. It's not equal to 0, it's equal to 1. So it goes to the else, which is you have lives, and then it prints out after the if, because that's just normal code, it's after everything. So it totally skips out this. Let's just change that back to 0, and I think we'll compile this just to show you. So program flow.java. Let's navigate to the desktop and JavaC program flow.java, and that's gonna, there we go, little r, there we go, that compiles successfully. Flow, game over then after the if, just as what we expected, because lives equals 0. So it runs this, but because this is true, it doesn't run the else. And then after the if, that's past the if statement. Okay, so that makes sense. I hope I've explained that well. Just a little bit more now on this conditional statement. I've told you the conditional operators. You can also do two more things. That is, you can have more conditions, and you do this by using, you can have the and. So if lives equals 0 and health equals, let's use another operator, does not equal 10, then this runs. So basically that means if both these statements are true, then it will run this, else it will run that. You can also use or, which is just a double pipe, and that's just shift and then the backslash key gets you that, and that's right in the bottom left hand corner of your keyboard. That means or. So if lives is equal to 0 or health does not equal 0, equal 10 even, it prints out this, otherwise it prints out that. So that's just if one or the other is true, it will print out this. Okay, so that's pretty simple, it's pretty self-explanatory. Now, one more thing, let's create a new variable and let's call it boolean game over. That's going to equal true. Okay, so we've created a new boolean variable. So what would happen if we did this? If game over is a boolean, it can either be true or false. Conditions are either true or false. So yeah, that would work. If game over equals true, because if the statement is true, this current statement is just game over, which equals true, so that would run game over. It wouldn't run this because it's true, obviously, and it would run that. If we chucked an exclamation mark in front of that, however, that would now say if not true, then it would run that. So now it would run this, you have lives. Because of this little exclamation mark, it reverses everything, it just means not in English. So if I change game over to false now, then it would run game over, because not false. So that's a double negative, so that's true. Okay, so if I just get rid of that and change that to, I'll just leave that as false. And then finally, very finally, you can nest if statements. Nesting means you can have one if statement inside another if statement. Now you can have as many if statements as you like inside each other. You could have 5 if statements all nested inside each other, although that would be extremely complex. For example, if lives equals 0 or health is less than 0. Obviously I haven't got the lives and health variable, this is just an example. There we go. So now, as you can see, this if statement is nested, and that just acts the same as an ordinary if statement. If game over is true, which it's not in this case, so that would just be skipped anyway, but if it was true, then it would run this. If that was both false, then it would skip and move on to this. Because it wouldn't move. If this statement was false, then it wouldn't go to this else, because this else is for this if I could chuck in an else here, and then we've got a thing, but I don't need to because I don't want to. So you can mix and match. You don't have to, if you have an if and then an else, you don't, inside that if, you don't have to have an if and an else. Likewise, if you have a boolean, you can have conditional statements here, you can have multiple conditional statements, you can have single conditional statements like that. You can chuck ifs inside here, if time is greater than, less than 100, blah 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 blah, etc. else. Yeah, you get the idea. Okay, so that's if statements. Yeah, great. That's gonna add a totally new dimension to your program, because you can now just do things depending on variables, so your program can adapt to different things. That's the best way of saying it. So now I would recommend you just mess around with if statements for a while. Create a couple of programs, like, I don't know, program that has a variable called age. You just type in your age, like, I don't know, 20, I don't know, and then it tells you what year of school you're in, or even, no, that would take a lot of ifs. It tells you what stage of school you're in, like, for all you Americans, high school, college, university, or for us English people, primary school, secondary school, college, university. So yeah, that'd be good. So like, if age is greater than 18 and less than 21, prints out university. If it's greater than 21, prints out you should be working, or something like that. I don't know. So just have fun. Don't be afraid to try out new things. Until we meet next time, where I will explain object-oriented programming.